Well, let's return to our top story and the brewing diplomatic crisis between Nigeria and the United States. Nigeria's Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, has been briefing the press, reeling out what the Tinubu administration has been doing to contain extremist violence and how it's working through diplomatic channels to resolve the impasse with Washington. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise Director of News and Politics Editor, Sumner Sambo. Good to see you, Sumner. Thanks. And you were, of course, at that briefing earlier today. Yeah. Just summarize for us what he was saying in defense of the Nigerian government.
All right. Let's go straight to the statistics. About 13,500, terrorists have been killed since 2023 to now, and about 7,000 of them are on trial at the moment.
We said 17,000.
Yeah, 17,000. Yeah. About 17,000 of them are on trial in different courts, and then there are about 9,800 women, children, and all of that have been freed. And then, of course, the government is saying that it's ready to work with the United States to curtail the incidents of, security breaches that we've had. And then, of course, the major point is that there's no targeted killing of Christians in the country. And, of course, we also have to ask questions as to what exactly the government is doing on the issues of funding the military. And then, of course, we have a policing system. And I asked them, shouldn't we start thinking of having a National Guard, just like the U.S. does have one? Something that is a pseudo-military. Since the military says they are overstretched by these issues, and then it's a policing problem. The police are unable to handle it very well. Now, of course, the issues also are that we have people, according to the government, who are also sponsoring this abroad and then try to heighten tension. But in all, the Nigerian government is saying that they are willing and they are available to work with other international partners, including President Donald Trump, to ensure that these killings are halted, and then, of course, that there is no direct genocide against Christians in Nigeria.
Right. Well, you mentioned the fact that the minister said that there were 17,000 people being questioned or prosecuted.
Yes, in different
What
courts.
are those people? That's a lot of people to be holding in jails, isn't it?
Yeah, some of them are being held in jails and some of them in special military facilities.
Right.
Because there's one, for example, in Kainji Air Base, where some of these trials have been ongoing. Most times journalists are not allowed because they are done secretly, but once they are done, the Attorney General of the Federation will then go ahead and issue statements on the number of people who have been found guilty, and then the sort of charges that were earlier preferred and all of that. And some of the terrorists are also given state counsels, lawyers that were standing for them and all of that. And then apart from that, we have regular, cases in open courts where people get to, go around and see what's happening. But of course, the major challenge has been that the judicial system has been very slow in prosecuting them. And some of these people, like I mentioned at that place, is the issues of, it's a justice problem. Some of these people have also escaped, and then the killers and the victims get to meet in open markets, and it's a huge challenge for victims and their families.
Absolutely.
Seeing people who actually killed their parents or, their kith and kin, strolling around, nothing being done. And so the perception is that government is not doing so much. And then, of course, the issues of minorities, religious minorities, and then ethnic minorities. How the federal government is handling this is where the major problem lies. Because most of these places where these killings are happening, like, for example, in Goza, in Maiduguri, you would have seen that the communities there took out, some adverts on Nigerian dailies, itemizing the areas that, they've had these issues.
Right.
Churches that were burned, nothing happened, and all of that. So why is the government in that state, for example, Borno, not doing so much? Is it because they are a minority in a Muslim-dominated state? And so this actually propels the feeling that, okay, if these attacks are happening more within this axis, then maybe the government knows those who are doing it and it's not doing much. And then, of course, you come to the North Central, the middle of the country, the middle belt, and then where you have these killings happening more in Plateau, Benue, and all of that, just like you would have heard that, Christian cleric going to the U.S. Congress to actually itemize all that had been done. The fear is that, why is it that most of these attacks are happening in more minority-dominated areas, whether ethnic minorities or religious minorities? So the government needs to hasten up, the issues of creating an understanding between majority tribes and minor tribes, between religious minorities and then religious majorities within specific areas. And the most important thing is justice. Let the court systems work in such a way that if someone is found guilty, if someone is found to have conducted any act of terrorism, the person is taken to court and the process is hastened on time and the person goes to court. And then, of course, the issues that you would have heard is on all these issues of pardon and all of that. It's not just the federal government that does pardon. Even state governors are doing pardon, sometimes to even some of these people who are accused of killing communities and all of that. So it angers people. And then, of course, what will now be the tendency is to say that if in a Muslim majority state, someone who embarks on such is now given a pardon, the Christians there who may have been affected may feel alienated. And so these are potpourri of issues that the federal government needs to do. And maybe like have a commission of inquiry. If there are constant killings of minorities, whether ethnic minorities or religious minorities, why don't you set up a judicial commission of inquiry to find out the complaints of the minorities and then look for solutions? Because, Charles, these are some of the problems that we had in 1957 before independence, that we had the Willings Commission that was set up to assuage the feelings of minorities as we're getting into independent Nigeria, that when they get into an independent Nigeria, they will not be dominated based on their faith or their ethnicity. And for over 65 years, we're still dealing with these issues that, for example, some people cannot be able, if you're a Christian, you won't be able to buy land in a Muslim-dominated state. And the governors are not doing anything to assuage the feelings of minorities there.
In a state where everybody should have equal rights.
Yes, and the same thing when you are a Muslim, for example, in a Christian-dominated state, you are not given opportunity to buy space to build a mosque and all of that. So these are the issues. The federal government should not be emotional about this. Let them take a look at all of this. In fact, I would have been thinking that the president would set up maybe like a commission of inquiry.
So this ought to be a wake-up call.
Really. Study the agitations of these minorities, the religious minorities, Christians, or if it's a Christian-dominated area, and the Muslims are the minority, to listen to their pain, because we're also not listening to that of the Muslims. If they do start itemizing their problems now, it could be a big challenge in areas where, for example, the government is not fully in control. And lastly, the issues of ungoverned territories in Nigeria. It continues to be a big problem where the securities are unable to reach certain areas and hard to reach communities that even the military have had to say that if they are called upon for support, they are unable to reach there because the civilian authorities haven't done roads and all of that. So it becomes a problem. And terrorists get there, they kill and kill overnight, nothing happens, burying people in mass graves and all of that. It's a huge challenge. And I'll call on the Nigerian government to embark on an inquiry, a sort of inquiry on all these agitations so as to assuage the feelings, especially of minorities, on all these issues.
We're almost out of time. Is it your sense that, obviously this is the start of hopefully many more sort of news conferences and briefings, but is it your sense that anyone would have been listening in Washington?
Yeah, of course, because I mean the interest is so huge. Good enough, some of the groups that had come together to band together to actually, make this presentation to Trump, and before Trump took his decision, they've all agreed that they are going to work with the Nigerian government to reduce the tension that's on ground and ensure that we get back to the table as to what needs to be done to quell this feeling that Christians are being killed and all of that. So that's the right step in the right direction. And the good part of it, when you flip it, is that the Nigerian government has said that it is ready to cooperate with the U.S. government, not just in terms of sitting at the table, but to also receive military support to be able to counter, this insurgency and all of that. But for how long can we continue to fight this? Why don't we declare it a full war against these insurgents? Because there are too many territories that are being held by these non-state actors, and they determine whatever happens there. So if you're a Muslim and they don't like you, they kill you. And if you're a Christian, they don't like you, they kill you. So let's stop the killings irrespective of whether you're a minority or a majority. Important lessons. Yeah, I mean. And good points that you raised there. Sumner, thank you very much indeed. Sumner Sambo is Arise Director of News and Politics Editor.